A very good afternoon to you and welcome to this edition of Lunchtime News. I'm Katharina Chang. Let's take a look at what's making headlines. 13 persons killed in incidents caused by extreme weather conditions. One person reported missing. Security forces prepared to assist in relief efforts. Health sector trade unions charge that the government does not have a proper program to address the dengue menace. 3 people killed in an accident in Arlagang Villa. And on to those stories in detail. Now 3 people have been killed in a road accident that occurred in Arlagang Villa early this morning.
Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan says the accident occurred at about 4:30 am today in the Magul Daman area in the Arlagang Villa police division. 8 people were injured in the accident. The accident occurred when a truck carrying a group of people from a wedding reception in Mahayanganaya veered off the road and collided with a tree. The police suspect that the accident occurred as a result of the driver falling asleep at the wheel. Meanwhile, a guard at a level crossing in Alutweva, Sravastipura in Anuradhapura was dismembered after being hit by a train. The police say that the guard had lost an arm and a foot in the accident. He was admitted to the Anuradhapura hospital and underwent surgery, but doctors were not able to save his limbs. The victim was a 37-year-old resident of Alutweva, Sravastipura.
Health sector trade unions charge that the government does not have a strong program to deal with the spread of dengue. The president of the Government Nursing Officers Association, Saman Ratnapira, says that this has led to the rapid spread of the disease across the island.
It is a serious question as to why the spread of dengue cannot be controlled. This shows that the dengue eradication program of the Ministry of Health is weak. The Ministry of Health must implement a program throughout the year to ensure the eradication of dengue.
The president of the Sri Lanka Medical Laboratory Technicians Association, Ravi Kumadesh, had this to say on the matter.
It is evident that the Ministry of Health does not have a proper scientific understanding or program to tackle this issue. We have brought the issue to the attention of the Minister of Health on several occasions. The programs being implemented by the ministry are weak. This will become a major issue in terms of public health across the country.
The Government Medical Officers Association, or GMOA, says that the public too have a responsibility in this regard. GMOA spokesperson Dr. Navin D'Souza had this to say.
The public too have a responsibility to clean up their environment and their homes, to remove locations that could be conducive to the breeding of dengue mosquitoes. Nevertheless, we also believe that the Ministry of Health too has a major responsibility to coordinate this work and deal with the consequences.
Meanwhile, Newsfirst made inquiries from the Deputy Minister of Health, Lalit Dissanayake, regarding the allegations levelled by trade unions that the government does not have a strong program to deal with the dengue menace.
We are implementing specialized programs to deal with the dengue menace. We did have control over the spread of the disease and we succeeded in reducing the number of fatalities. This is not a cause to be troubled over. It is normal for a spike to occur with rainy weather conditions. We are undertaking the necessary programs to face this situation. We have already identified areas like Colombo and Gampaha where it has spread rapidly. We have experience from last time. So what we should do now is not worry about this being declared an epidemic, but rather work in earnest to clean up our environs and reduce the growth of mosquito larvae.
The Minister of Private Transport Services say a committee has been appointed to look into the regulation of school transport services. Minister C.B. Ratnayake says a 14-member committee has been appointed for this purpose. He added that the committee would submit a report to him on the 31st of July.
It is our responsibility, the responsibility of the government, to ensure the future of the children of this country and to provide them with the safety and security they need for their education. That is why we are preparing to regulate school transport services with the consensus of all provincial councils. This committee will hold discussions with transport providers and parents. The committee will convene on the 5th. On the 31st, they will submit their report and we will make all necessary preparations.
එකතු කරගෙන ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය සකස් කරලා ඉදිරිපත් කරන ජූලි 31 වෙනිදාට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු කරන්න සූදානම්.
The Hatton branch of the Sri Lanka Nidhas Sevaka Sanghamaya was established yesterday under the auspices of Minister Dylan Pereira.
වතුකම්කරු ලක්ෂ 2කට වැඩිය මේ රට පුරාම වැඩ කරනවා.
There are over 200,000 estate workers throughout the country. As a trade union, we are taking the necessary steps to move forward as a strong trade union. We are strengthening this trade union because we want to give the estate sector workers some relief. This is a time when we have a government and when the leader of the party is the president of the country. So we are capable of doing it. We believe that we should create a trade union system where the strength of our government and leader flow into the trade union itself.
ආණ්ඩුවේ නායකත්වයේ ශක්තිය අපේ වෘත්තීය සමිතියටත් ගලාගෙන එන ක්‍රමයට තමයි අපි මේ වෘත්තීය සමිතිය ගොඩනගන්න ඕන කියලා අපි කල්පනා කරන්නේ.
And getting back to one of our main headline news, the Met Department forecast that there is a possibility of sudden swells due to a sudden increase of wind speeds, which could reach up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour over the sea areas off the coast extending from Mannar to Putville via Colombo and Hambantota. Heavy showers are also expected in these sea areas. 13 people have been killed and one person reported missing in incidents caused by the extreme weather conditions. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says that these people were killed in landslides in Kalutara, Talangama and Bulat Sinhala.
Bulat Sinhala Pradeshedi Tavat.
2 persons were killed in the Bulat Singhal area when a mound of earth fell on them. Only one body was recovered. Meanwhile, 7 persons were killed in the Mathugama, Kitulgoda and Omanthi areas. Furthermore, 1 person died when he was swept away by floodwaters in the Valipan area. The current death toll stands at 13 and 1 person remains missing. This is a natural disaster situation.
2 people were killed when an earth embankment collapsed, taking the wall of a house with it on Dharmashok Mawati, Narangala, Talangama at about 4 a.m. today. A 62-year-old woman and a 72-year-old man were killed in the incident. We heard a noise at about 4 a.m. My husband and I woke up and I told him it sounds like the wall is about to collapse. Then my husband took the children and I outside and went back in the house to call my mother. But the door was locked. The mound of earth had fallen into the room and had jammed the door. I tried breaking down the door, then I called for help. I found them after 1.5 hours.
It was all
Meanwhile, 3 vehicles were washed away by flash flood in Mavramandia, Kadwata at about 3:30 a.m. today. Our reporter says that while the waters carried away a 3-wheeler, a van and a car, area residents had intervened to rescue those inside the vehicle. Meanwhile, low-lying areas on the Dalupita Hinkenda road in Mahara have been inundated. Our reporter says that flood waters rose to about 4 feet at Dalupita Junction on the 261 bus route from Vattara to Mahara this morning. Meanwhile, train services on the main line were delayed today as a result of flooding at the Ragama railway station. The railway control room says that one of the tracks was used to operate services. Services between Bandarawala and Badula on the upcountry line are yet to return to normalcy. About 120 feet of this railway line was covered by earth and rocks following a landslide that occurred on the 28th of May at the 280th kilometre post between Demodara and Udavara. The railway control room says that teams are still moving earth and rocks from the tracks. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Air Force says that 2 helicopters have been deployed to assist in rescue missions in Kalutara. Navy media spokesperson Commander Costa Varnakul Surya says that several Navy teams have been placed on standby. The Army has placed 2 brigades on standby to assist in relief efforts. The Army's Public Communication Director, Brigadier Jayanta Jayavira, said that these brigades will be deployed as the need arises. The Met Department, meanwhile, is forecasting rains in excess of 100 millimeters in several parts of the island today as well.
සතියක එකමාරක පමණ ඉඳන් ලංකාවට බලපවත්වන්නේ පූර්ව මෝසම් කාලගුණ තත්ත්වයක්.
For about a week and a half, Sri Lanka has been affected by monsoon weather conditions. As of last afternoon, the weather, which was in what we call a pre-monsoon system, aggravated and heavy rains were experienced in areas in the Colombo and Kalutara districts. The sudden onset of heavy rains was caused by a convergence of winds. As of 5:30 a.m. today, rainfall in Colombo has been registered at 102 millimeters. This weather system will continue to affect the island today, and we expect heavy rains in the southwestern parts of the island.
වර්ෂාපතනය ලැබෙයි බොහෝ ප්‍රදේශවලට.
Minister of Disaster Management Mahinda Amaraveera elaborated on the relief effort for those affected by the extreme weather conditions.
කළුතර දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේත් ඒ වගේම කොළඹ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේත් අධික වර්ෂාව නිසා
While the necessary arrangements are being made for people who were killed and were wounded in the Colombo and Kalutara districts, we are also taking steps with the assistance of the security forces to assist people who have been displaced in other areas. Our priority is to save lives, mitigate the effects of flooding, and to ensure that those affected receive the necessary relief. Provisions for the same have already been released by the ministry. All officers have been informed to ensure that the affected populations are cared for and receive the necessary nourishment.
සියලුම නිලධාරීන් වෙත ලබා දීලා තිබෙනවා. අඛණ්ඩව මේ ඇයට ඒ කටයුතු සිදු කරනවා.
Now, before we conclude the news, we would like to remind our viewers to stay with Newsfirst as we bring you the latest details of the prevailing weather situation, and stay safe. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Katharina Chang. Have a lovely day ahead.